Hallelujah, in the name of Jesus Christ, I speak. Some of you may know me, but some of the face are kind of new to me because you guys are too young. I'm born in 1930, so you can pretty much guess how old I am now, right? I was born into a TJC family. My family became TJC starting from my grandfather. If you read the Holy Times magazine, you will see the whole story about my grandfather, who was at the time living in Amoy, China. He has a sister who has the blood tumor right behind the neck here. This tumor was growing up slowly. Eventually, the tumor go up so big, you suck the blood from the brain to the tumor. And when the blood was sucked from the brain to the tumor, your brain will lack all blood and you faint out. In the start, it's about once a day. They eventually growing to every 2 hours, you faint out. At the time, my grandfather was an elder in Presbyterian Church. He originally was living in Tainan, and after Japan occupied Taiwan, and he didn't like Japanese at all, so he moved to Amoy and lived in Kurong Island, and as a medical doctor, practicing his medical doctor at Amoy. At that time, though he is a medical doctor, he wouldn't do anything about his own sister has that illness because he knew no one can cure that kind of disease. Eventually, he invited one medical doctor specializing in cancer from London, flew over to Amoy and diagnosed that for her. And then the doctor told my grandfather, "You be prepared. In 2 weeks, she will die. Because the tumor was grown so large, you burst, and then she will bleed to death because nobody can stop the bleeding after that." At that time, as you know, 1917, we established TJC in China. In 1920, they spread the gospel to Amoy already. So at that time, there were ministers in Amoy and preaching and many, many miracles. One of my grandfather's friends also joined TJC. So in 1925, he came and talked to my grandfather, said, "You know what, Dr. Wu, there is a church called True Jesus Church." He said, "What? True Jesus Church. Oh, they are true and we are not?" He was very unhappy to even hear the name. And anyway, he wouldn't pay any attention to him, whatever he's talking about, until the doctor told him, "Your sister going to die in 2 weeks." The next day, the friend showed up, and then talked, "Hey, you know what? Yesterday, I saw another great miracle. A person was crippled, and after prayer, he was able to jump and walk." So at that time, my grandfather eventually kind of gave up because, if there is no miracles, she is going to die in 2 weeks. So I said, okay, why don't you go and bring your TJC member, come and pray for her. Sure enough, they brought a group of people with a full-time minister, came to pray for my grand-aunt. As I told you, she's been fainting every 2 hours. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they came and prayed for her, and 5 o'clock, she's supposed to faint. The nurse was waiting, 5 o'clock, did not faint. What happened? 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. You're supposed to faint again the second time, didn't faint. So she was so happy, she ran over to my grandfather and said, Dr. Wu, your sister stopped fainting now. She stopped fainting now. My grandfather was so happy to know that, and so eventually he studied the teaching of TJC, and he found out Presbyterian Church teach completely wrong. They do not have the Holy Spirit. Their water baptism is wrong, and they do not teach Bible according to the Bible. Therefore, he was converted into TJC. And after that, he said, such a great gospel, I cannot keep it for myself. I have my family in Taiwan. Gutawan, New Taiwan is where the hometown of my grandfather was. So I have to bring this gospel back to Taiwan to spread to my relatives for them to have the opportunity to be saved also. So they get together with the full-time minister in China and so on. Altogether, 8 of them in 1926 got the boat from Amoy and came to Taiwan. And then my grandfather knew the Japanese government because he had a fight with them in the past. And then talked to them. They approved them to have TJC established in Taiwan. That's how the TJC was spread from China to Amoy to Taiwan. And I was born in 1930, so at that time, I didn't have any choice. My father was also converted in TJC, and my grandfather told him, you have to marry a lady who is True Jesus Church member and a medical doctor. 2 conditions. You cannot marry anybody else except with these 2 conditions met. And they look around, and in Canton Church, they found one. My mother happened to be sister in TJC and is a medical doctor. So, of course, somebody arranged it. So they married, and I have no question. 1 year old, every one of us, all get baptized. That's how I become TJC member. And then in 1926, we baptized, and no, in 19, let me see. Oh, in 1945, before that, because we are Taiwanese, Japan is going to attack China. So they came to Amoy and told everybody in Amoy, told us, you Taiwanese, go back to Taiwan because Japan is going to fight with China. We will not guarantee your safety. If you stay in Amoy and get killed, it's not our responsibility. So my family was being forced to go from Amoy back to Taiwan. At that time, I was 8 years old, 1938. Then my father did not want to come back. He ran away to China, and then 6 months we came back. Japanese caught him and threw him into jail for 6 months. After he came out from jail, then he decided he is not going to work for Japanese. He will not work for TJC. So he went to Taiwan TJC headquarters, and he became full-time minister. So at the age 10, my age 10, he was the full-time minister in Taipei Church, the very first church we had in Taiwan, in Taipei. That's how I grown up in TJC. And because of the time limitation, I will not get into too much detail on that portion. Now I want to jump over to how I come to United States. After I graduated from so-called Taipei Institute of Technology, Chinese Taipei Gongzhuan, it's a junior college, 5 years. You take 5 years with high school and 2 years of junior college. And graduated, you have a diploma, you don't have the degree. After graduation, my uncle is another elder John Wu in New Jersey, called me up and said, hey, why don't you come to the United States? I said, great, I'd love to. So I went in to take my examination in 1954. You know what? I flunked it. 1955, I try again. I flunked again the second time. You don't believe it now. In the time when I was in junior high, I was graduated from junior high, best grade in the 3 years with 5 classes. But come to take the examination, I flunked twice. At that time, I really very sad and keep thinking, why? Why God don't want me to go to United States? I can go to United States and help try to spread the gospel and do some work for God, but apparently that is not my time. And in a few years later, I completely forget about it. I was working in one very good company in Taipei, and I also start to have my own restaurant with my father-in-law in Taipei. So actually at the time my wife was working, I'm working 2 jobs, and also have a house rent out. So I have 4 incomes, pretty well off. But then 8 years later, after I worked in the company, I completely forgot about coming to the United States. One day, I was on Sunday with my father-in-law. He sit on that side, I sit on this side, reading the newspaper. And I found out there is a little ad said that this year's study abroad examination will be at a certain time and so on and so forth. If you want to go take this examination, you have to register by certain time. At that time, suddenly I thought, maybe I should go and apply for it. So I kind of asked my father-in-law sitting in front of me, said, Dad, can I go to study abroad in the United States? At the time I thought he would say no. You know why? I've been becoming the general manager for the restaurant for 2 years, and we just changed the red into black. We begin to make money. So I'm quite sure you're going to say no. But anyway, I'm going to ask. So I asked. Without my surprise, he said, sure, you want to go? You can go. He's willing to let me go. So with that, I think this is God's will. So I went back, talked to my wife. She also agreed to. So I went and took the examination. 8 years after I graduated, I flunked twice, remember? This time I passed it. You tell me. When I graduated from the college and I took the examination twice, I flunked twice, 8 years later, I forgot everything. And I took the examination, and I passed it. So from this point, you have to know exactly our step is directed by God. Because God don't think 24 and 25 years old, you go out, you may be very dangerous. When you are young, you don't have a self-control, and you are not very fervent in your faith. It's very easy for you to fall to the devil. 33 years old, you are more firm, right? You already had a family. Actually, at the time I was married, had 4 children. So God considered 33 years the time I be okay to go to the United States. So let me pass. I came to the United States in 1963, March. I went to take the University of Tennessee because I'm junior college. Normally, you had to go back, make up some of the undergraduate courses. But I picked one which don't need to. So I picked the University of Tennessee, and I went over there. I don't have to take any undergraduate class. In 1 year, 1963 September to 1964 August, I got my master's degrees. I was not that stupid, right? I flunked twice in the examination, but I passed master's degree in 1 year. And then I went to work for Boeing at Seattle, Washington. Even that was a miracle. I was still in school in March of 1964. I called my classmate who already working in Boeing and asked him, hey, is there a job available in Boeing? And they checked, oh, yeah, they begin to hire somebody again. So they sent me the application form, I filled it up, and I sent over. 1 week later, my boss called me on the phone and interviewed me for about 10 minutes on the phone. 1 week later, I got the offer letter from Boeing company, say, after you got your master's degree, come to work for us anytime. I got a job before I even graduated. So it was so smooth. 1963, going to school, 1964, get graduated. 1964 summer, I went to work for Boeing, and at that time, as you recall, President Kennedy was assassinated, right? 1963. So Congress passed one of the things that he was pushing is to do with immigration. So in 1964, we have a special case for the people who are going to apply to be immigrant. So I used the opportunity to apply for it. 1965, my family joined me in Seattle, Washington, in 2 years. 1963, I left. 1965, August, they joined me. This speed, is really completely beyond my control. That's God's blessing. When it's ready, God wants me to be here in the United States. Everything was going so smooth. So after I came over here, and then I attended the Boeing company's work for about 4 years. And then in 1967, we have a sister in San Francisco. Some of you may know, Sister Gu. Gu Anna, 你知是. Sister Gu was thinking about establishing the first TJC in mainland USA. And he called me up and also called my uncle in New Jersey, uncle, you call it Elder John Wu, myself, and also Pastor Mei Shi Chai. He was at that time in Berkeley studying his degrees. So we four get together and had a meeting in 1967. At that time, we decided we should have a TJC in the United States. And they are going to establish that in San Francisco first. But what we need is a full-time minister. So what we're going to do about the full-time minister? Nobody in the United States can do that. So we think about it, we should go back to Taiwan or to Malaysia and look for one. Because her requirement is very strict. Need to be able to speak English, Chinese, Cantonese. Because in San Francisco, there's many Cantonese there. They don't speak anything else other than Cantonese. So need to be able to. So Deaconess School went to Taiwan, looked for somebody, couldn't find it, and then the people suggested go to Malaysia. So they went to Malaysia and then talked to the Elder John Lin. Any of you know him about it? In San Francisco, right? It's East Bay. We found him. At that time, he married with one daughter, Jenny. So he agreed to come to the United States as a full-time minister. So we invited him. In 1968, they came. And then we established the first TJC in the United States in San Francisco. Actually, it's in Pacifica. That's the very first church we have in mainland USA. Before that, we have somebody already in Honolulu and has a TJC there too. After he started, and then I talked to my wife, because my wife has one problem in Seattle. He was very sensitive to the cold. So every morning, she'll feel itching on both hands. So I was thinking about maybe I should move to San Francisco and join the church, because I missed the church services for almost 4 years. So I really missed it, and I want to have our own church to go attend. So I talked to my family, they all agreed to, so I began to look for a job in San Francisco. I couldn't find any. I applied for 2 churches, 2 places. They said, no, sorry, we don't have opening. But they sent my applicant back to Los Angeles. One is Lockheed Aircraft Company in Burbank, trying to make commercial airplane to compete with Boeing. Another one is Litton Industry, who is our vendor producing inertial navigation system for 747. So both companies knew that I'm looking for a job. They made an offer to me. I didn't ask them. They made an offer to me directly. Hey, I heard that you like to go to Southern California. Why don't you come to work for us? So I could not find anybody hire me in San Francisco, but Los Angeles got 2 jobs offer. So what do you do? I talked to my wife, said, okay, let's go. Let's go to Los Angeles. At least it's closer to go to San Francisco from Los Angeles than from Seattle to Los Angeles. Okay, so we agreed to come down, so we moved down here. And that time, what we did was, we have another brother, is Brother Lowe. He was ahead of me living in Los Angeles. He knew I'm coming, so he was very happy. So our 2 families start our family service in Los Angeles. Actually, I was living in Canoga Park. He was living in Los Angeles. So he would come to my house 1 week. Next week, I go to Los Angeles. And we keep taking turn between these 2 places. We held our Saturday service. Eventually, God's blessing, where more and more people moved to Southern California, from 2 families to 22 members. At that time, I don't know what happened to me, but I think that's God's guidance. One afternoon at my church, at my house, have the Sabbath day service, morning and afternoon, and we offered the lunch at my house. And that afternoon, after service, I opened my mouth and said, you know what? It's not a good idea for us to do in this way. At that time, how are we doing it? 1 week at my church, at my house, another week at Pastor Chai's house, another week at Sister Kinney's house. Each of them has hour and a half distance among these 3 places. And we're doing that. Every 3 weeks, we're turning. So I said, this is not the way to have some truth seeker come and join us, because nobody's going to do that. So they all agree, yeah, let's go find a house. And then we'll buy a house, a centralized location, and then we'll get together there every week, fix the place, and then we'll invite the truth seekers to come and join us. They all agree. And we're going to do is go find out how much the house is going to cost, right? So we ask a couple of people. You look at your area, you look at it, and I look at my area in the Canoga Park. Sister Shi in Boeing Park, 93 years old, right? Anybody from Boeing Park? You know Sister Shi, right? 93 years old. She, that day came and joined our service. She usually come and go between Taiwan and Los Angeles. That time, she was here, and she heard that. I don't know if she misunderstood it, or God purposely let her heard that way. She heard that we are going to buy a church. So after she went home, she said she prayed whole night without sleeping, all night, and get to the morning, get up and call one of her friends who is the agent in real estate, and ask her, hey, you know what? Our church is going to buy a chapel. Do you have anybody selling chapel? She said, oh, no. This is the first time I heard somebody buying the chapel, because in her understanding, everybody built their own chapel over here, okay? I said, oh, okay, I'll take a look. Went into the office Monday, opened up the book. There are enough. Very strangely, Elementary Church is for sale for $69,000. She was so excited. She called Sister, she called us. We all rushed over and went to see the Elementary Church. $69,000. The people was there as the manager, heard that it's the church going to buy their chapel. So great, if you're going to buy, I'll cut $3,000 off right away. I can sell you for $66,000 instead of $69,000. If you want to have some more discount, I had to call my headquarters. I said, no, $66,000 is fine. Don't call. To me, $66 is very inexpensive. So we talked to them, and then eventually, that's the very first chapel we bought, and that's the first church we established in Southern California in 1976. We have 8 years family service, 1998 until that time, 1968 until 1976, right? 8 years. Established our first church, 22 members, including all the children. After we have the church, God bless us. In 4 years, from 1976 to 1980, from 22 become 120. The church can only accommodate 100 people. So another 20, what they do, they go to dining room with the TV, attending the service that way. So we thought that wasn't the way, not the way to go. So we got to go find a bigger church for it. So we start looking for it, and then eventually in 1981, we found out Garden Grove Church. At that time, I was in Japan for 2.5 years. The company sent me over there. I came back in September of 1981, 1981, okay. So I came back, and then that December, they have the congregational meeting to decide either we're going to move whole church over to Garden Grove, or we're going to spread into El Monte and Garden Grove Church. During the meeting, I suggested we should spread, don't move, because we have about 1/3 member are still living in El Monte Church area, in Monterey Park mainly, and about 2/3 in Garden Grove area. They all agree. So we vote, and majority passed it. So in 1982, it split into 2 churches. El Monte Church, about 40 people. Garden Grove Church, about 80 people. Now, rest are the history. Now we know how many churches we have in Southern California today. Anybody know? How many? Somebody's counting. Okay, let's count. Canoga Park, Solito, Garden Grove, Irvine, Boeing Park, 5 churches, right? 5? Well, yeah, 5. El Monte Church now become Glendale, 6. Then 2, House of Prayer, San Diego, and what here? Speak up. Chino here, right? We have 5 churches and then 2 whole house of prayer in San Diego today. This is a great blessing from God to us. Now let me talking to you about how we get the El Monte Church to go into Boeing Park Church. That's another very interesting testimony. El Monte Church, after split from Garden Grove and said we have our own service, we had started from 40 people. Eventually, that 40 people begin to not increase, decrease. By 1988 or so, our Friday evening service has only 6 people. Me and my wife, and then a couple more. I'm a church council member. One day, John Doe showed up to our Friday evening service. And the first thing he said was, today outside is very cold. But you know what? I felt it's colder inside. That really got me. True. At that time, our inside is colder than outside weather. We have only 6 people in the Friday evening service. Before we have 60, 70, before we split. Now after we split, now it becomes so small. So after the service, I call everybody, all 6 of us, and get together, and we make the decision. What should we do next? What do you think we should do? Any idea? If you are the one in that 6, what do you think you're going to do? Anybody? Nobody want to say, huh? The only thing we can do is prayer, nothing else, right? You can only rely on God by praying to God and ask God to help you. That's the only way we can do. No matter what you encounter, that's what you should do, is pray to God. So we decide, starting from tonight, we all go home, we're going to all pray, 10 o'clock, all pray 30 minutes every night, and then we're going to tell all the members, starting from next week, Friday evening before the service, we're going to pray 30 minutes in church. Saturday morning at the church, we're also going to pray 30 minutes before the service, from 10:20 to 10:50. That is what we established in Elementary Church. That is what we are doing throughout the church today in the United States. That's how we started. Because the prayer, from that point on, 1988 to 1990, our 6-member Friday evening service becomes 60. Again, we cannot sit because we have more than 120 members. So in 1990, we begin to look for church. We all went and bought another house behind us and so forth, and eventually, in 1998, we bought the Boyne Park Church. 1998. April, we had the dedication of Boyne Park Church. At that time, how many people we had? Almost 130. How much do they have now? Anybody from Boyne Park Church? How many you have? 385 members, right? It's the fast-growing church in Southern California today. Not only that, now they split the Chino Hill out. How many people go in there? How many? 100. 100 members in Chino Hill? Wow. That's way beyond my imagination. See, now we have 2 churches, Boyne Park. Split not only to Garden Grove, split the Canoga Park, now it's Chino Hill. Actually, Boyne Park split 3 churches out since then. You know, Canoga Park Church is split from Boyne Park Church. If we're going to count San Diego, I'm one of them. I'm going from Boyne Park to San Diego. So we are a very good church, so to speak. Keep growing and keep spreading out. So from this, we know if God working with us, nothing is impossible. You have a church problem, all you have to do is pray. After prayer, God listens to your prayer, and God will bless you. So you will grow. And Boyne Park is the best proof to all of us that how they did it and that how the result shown us. That's the result of it. So with all of this, that we should understand it. When we have something you want to do for God, first you pray to God. The most important is attend the service. Every service you can. Let me just take a few minutes to talk about the way I attend the church. When I was 10 years old, my father was full-time minister. In Taipei, we have 6 days service, evening, Sunday through Friday, Saturday morning and afternoon. So every day we have services. I attend every services Sunday through Friday night and Saturday afternoon, because morning we have to go to school. During the period of time, no matter what kind of examination I have to face, I don't worry about it. I just go to church, and then I just study the way I'm supposed to study, and I take the examination, and I never fail. as I have just shown to you, I graduated from the best grade in the junior college, at junior high, and so on. So don't worry about your class, because if you come to church and attend the service every day, every night, when there is a service, God will bless you. My family, that's why I practice. After I married and had my first daughter, which is Lily, Pastor Liang's wife. When she was born, 6 months later, my wife can go to church. We have my baby and 2 of us in the tricycle and go to church every night, Sunday through Friday night. Saturday afternoon, we go to church because we both work Saturday morning, so afternoon we go to church. That's the way we've been doing whole life. I had the second daughter, same thing. The 2 daughters all go to the church, they'll sit quietly and listen. I don't know if they understand or not, but they are listening. They are standing there, sitting there and listening to. And then come to my third son, Paul, then he's not that good. So he will sit under the mother's place, and the mother give the paper and the scissor, and you just go cutting up the paper during the service time, okay? The fourth one is a girl again. They follow the 2 sisters. So 3 sisters sitting there, and the boy is under there and cutting papers. That's how we attend our service. Whole family, every service. We never skip one unless somebody is sick, which seldom we do. God bless us. So that's how I raise up my family. I wish many of you are still single and not married yet. After you're married, make sure your whole family attend this church service, because that's how God gonna bless you, bless your whole family. So now you know I'm 83 years old. I still can stand over here, speak more than 1 hour. It means that my health is still fine, right? If you do God's work, as we written in the Bible, let's read that. As in Deuteronomy, the last chapter. Chapter 34, verse 7. Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eyes were not dim, nor his natural vigor abated. 120 years old. That is Moses. If God wants you to be healthy, you'll be healthy. If you want to work for God, God will keep you healthy. That's my experience, and that's what I see over the years. Here, Moses, identical. He worked for the Lord for 120 years. He was so healthy by the time he died. Actually, God took him away because God don't want him to go to Daniel Canaan. Other than that, he was still very healthy if he was allowed to go into. So with this as my testimony, I wish God will bless you and guide you, that in your whole life, very important. Serve God with all your heart, with all your mind. Thank you. Now we're going to just, okay, let's pray in silence.